my minions of darkness, I'm Crimson Glow, and this is 10 Things I Hate About Your OTP, the show where I say the absolute worst parts of your favorite little ships and completely annihilate them. And kidnapped today is my friend Nirvana.
You kidnapped me, and you don't even know my name.
To be fair, Quill's handwriting is absolutely horrid, and you are the 4th person on the emergency list.
In case you haven't heard, I don't do videos anymore. Why am I here?
Because editor is doing something else. Quill is on a date and needed me to watch Pastel. Pastel is currently Philly Pastel. And I need someone to be a meat shield in case I run out of Pop-Tarts.
And what makes you think I'd be a meat shield for you?
Because I know what you are. And who better to protect little old me than the secret?
You say it, and I will rain hell upon you like you have never seen, you red and black abomination!
Nah, sweetie. I've been to hell. They didn't want me there.
Oh, did you get kicked out too?
Yeah, something about not being allowed to take over hell unless you're actually dead.
Look, kid, I don't care what you say. You can't just come in here and try and take over my realm.
But I wanna!
You killed my chef and jester, you little brat.
No wonder they were speaking French. But, wait, why are they all wearing the same uniform? You really should have thought that one through.
Will you get out of here already?
Anyway, Pastel is currently napping, so you want to do this segment with me?
You know my secret. Do I really have a choice?
Oh good, you're smarter than you look for the secret. So where better to start with the ship that started all the ships from the very beginning of the show, the very first episode, Sparity. Rare Spike? It's Rarity and Spike. Rarity and Spike.
Well, that's not a very fair place to start. While the ship is really easy to bash, there are a few redeeming qualities here and there, though you do really need to stretch a few things to make it work.
Well, duh, there isn't a ship in which you could see together that doesn't have anything in common. Rarity and Spike have nice chemistry together, they both like gems, and they do kinda look cute together, but when you get down to the bones of their actual relationship, those reasons seem very artificial.
Agreed.
So let's stop trying to redeem this ship and just get to bashing it, shall we? Nova, get my bat!
I am a bat! Wait, I'm not that kind of... Ow!
Number 10. I get that Spike is probably only a few years younger than Twilight, but he's still considered a baby. That's kinda weird. A kid, even by the show's standard, he's probably around the same age as the CMC, which is creepy enough as it is. I don't have a problem with older women getting with younger men, or younger men getting with older women, or etc., any other combination you can think of, men, women, older, younger, whatever. But when it gets to the point where it's underage and it could be considered doctrinization, there are some serious issues here.
One could argue that dragons live much longer than ponies, if not immortal, but even if we had proof of that, Spike is still a baby by his species standards and has been raised as such. Therefore, he has no business dating a mare in her 20s.
Exactly! Even if he were, say, 1,000 years old, if he's still considered a baby by dragon standards, that would probably basically be
Whoa, let's not say that word. I mean, it's true, but hey, kids could be watching.
Shouldn't kids understand that if an adult is making a pass at you at age 7 through 15, that's what they're called?
Very true. Moving on.
Number 9.
It seems like any chance Rarity has to basically shut down Spike as a romantic interest, she takes it. She thinks of him as a friend at most, and at the very least a kid brother or assistant to one of her best friends, and will likely never cross that line. She seems to have a certain taste in men that either is refined, knows about fashion, or encourages making art.
Yeah, it's not like she'd ever go with a big red stallion who would rather buck apples than go to a museum.
Why, you son of a...
And now you know why Quill could never touch me.
Boop.
What have you done? Bram, what are you doing?
Dancing over your mutilated corpse. Number 8. I've heard this argument before about how Spike could evolve into what Rarity would want, or that she could mold him into the perfect suitor, and quite frankly, that seems creepy as hell. Would you like someone to come into your life that you happen to have a crush on and say, "Yo, I like you too, but you're gonna have to change like at least 60% of your overall interests and personalities to be with me." Then they brainwash you for the rest of your life thinking you're something that you're not.
If you love someone, it's for who they are, not for who they could be. And while I don't think Rarity would ever try and change Spike like that, the idea is still disturbing. However, this argument can also be taken another way. Who's to say that 10 years from now, Spike won't mature into an adult that Rarity would be attracted to?
And who's to say that Spike in all his impressionistic personality wouldn't try to take notes like a stalker to be exactly what Rarity wants as his own?
Luckily, we will never find out.
Or will we?
We won't.
Why?
Hasbro.
Oh. Number 7. Spike's crush should stay one-sided, not only because it makes more sense along with the story of the actual show, but it also makes better sense for Spike's character development as a whole. When it comes to his romantic side or his usual routine, his stories oftentimes rely on him seeing his traits and maturing from them, or seeing the error of those traits. In Dragon's Quest, it was that he doesn't have to be a certain way to be a real dragon. In Secret of My Excess, it's that greed can be a nice thing, just in moderation. I mean, Spike literally blows up with the amount of greed that he has. So, from a writing standpoint, wouldn't it be nice for a male character to move on from a crush that's young and shows that there's life after that crush? You had something kinda similar with Trenderhoof, but it wasn't really delved into, and it was more of a focus towards Rarity.
The idea of a one-sided crush is normally to make you feel for a character, or to laugh at their failures. The conclusion is usually one of two ways. Either 1, the character in question wins the affection of the love interest and moves on to a happy life, or 2, they have to overcome their grief from the rejection. For the kids who are the actual target audience for the show, it would be a good lesson for them to see Spike move on to someone he can actually date. You know, maybe someone a little younger, has a nice voice, maybe looks a little like...
Are you pushing your OTP into this OTP pashing video?
Sweetie Spike forever!
Totally not a replacement for Rarity at all. Number 6. Okay, this one's just kind of really silly, but it does seem like a legitimate problem, especially when your designs are heavily using gems in your craft. It seems like Spike legitimately just can't control himself with gems in the immediate area unless he's already eaten or the plot just demands it of him. It's like having a boyfriend who's a drug addict and you're a pharmacist. Do the math.
I want to say something to combat this, but I can't.
Because it's a legitimate issue, or because it's just really silly?
Actually, because math sounds like meth.
Number 5. For those who have seen any episode where Spike feels like he's in competition for being the most useful or to be anything, we all know that he's extremely protective of his friends. We also know that Rarity is kind of a huge flirt and enjoys to flirt. nothing could go wrong. Absolutely nothing could go wrong here. Nope, as long as Rarity doesn't have any flirting done with anyone else in front of Spike, I know this is pretty minor, that it seems pretty minor, they could probably work it out, but I do think that this would be a reoccurring problem that comes up in the relationship again, and again, and again, and again, mostly because Rarity really likes to flirt as a use of getting what she wants or getting help, and I don't think Spike would be very happy about that.
There are ways to work around flirting where she would consistently end the conversation with the fact that she's a taken mare, but in the real world, being single and flirting comes with a certain implication that leads to certain benefits that lead to a lot of success in her line of work. And the moment she says she's dating a 10-year-old dragon, well... being rejected is the least of her worries.
Number 4. Number 4 is a dick.
What happened to number 4?
Just look what he did to number 3.
What?
Onward! Number 3. So, if we're to make the assumption that Rarity knows of Spike's feelings based on that scene from Secret of My Excess, where they do the shh, we don't need words. We don't need words. Shh. Why has it not been addressed since then?
I know, right? Even I tried to tell her how Spike feels once.
Really? What did you do?
Spike is in love with you. He made a plushie of you to sleep with. You need to address the situation. Stop leading him on, you sleazy twat.
Oh, nothing too bad.
Really, none of his feelings are actually addressed other than for the sake of jokes, or even Rarity just doesn't even seem to at least know they exist or pretends that they don't exist. We know Rarity knows and doesn't really have any reason to say, hey, I'm just not into you.
The fact is, she thinks of him as a kid, and only a kid. She will never address the problem at hand because she thinks he'll just grow out of it and move on. Which I kinda hope he does.
Kinda hard to do that when there aren't that many signals right away that say, hey, she's just not into you. Number 2. I won't deny that their chemistry is really cute, but to be honest, it just doesn't seem on the level of shipping in my opinion. Throughout the show, Spike has interacted with several different characters that you might call love interests that could actually be much better. For example, one of my favorites is Starlight Glimmer. I don't know, for some reason in Season 6, Episode 1 of the premiere, they seem to talk together so naturally, like this is exactly what Spike needed to fall back on. I'm surprised that this ship hasn't taken off as much as I think it would've, even though it has some of the same problems, if not all of the same problems, as Sparity or Rara Spike, whatever you call it, but the point still stands.
Spike being shipped with Ember is quite possibly the most realistic pairing. Not only are they the same species, but they also work together very well, as shown in that one episode where you just know on the sideline Rarity was just like,
Bitch, that's mine!
then why haven't you done anything yet?
Shut up, that's mine!
I should regret making that joke, but I don't.
I like the chemistry between Rarity and Spike. It's not enough for me to say,
I don't care, I ship it, I don't care.
Number 1.
That was a bad joke, and you should feel bad for making it.
As has been said throughout this entire video, if you haven't gotten sick of it already, Spike is really young, and while that is one problem that ensures a huge slew of other problems, this one has to be one of the biggest there is. Spike doesn't really know what love is quite yet, especially in the state that he is in the show.
Love is not something you just wake up and know. There are aspects of it that take a lifetime to understand. Aspects about the people you love. Aspects about you. How to give and how to take. How to celebrate love and when to walk away from it. But worst of all, knowing how to separate love from infatuation.
Which I think is mostly what Spike is feeling with Rarity. It feels less about them being equals and more about Spike pleasing Rarity.
There's no doubt that Rarity does love Spike, but it's a love one would have for a kid brother. Spike is too young to know what love is yet. While he might know it in theory, he's yet to feel love for anyone outside his immediate friends and family. He has yet to make any other connections.
But hey, at least we know that he's learning. He's actually learning throughout this season and through other seasons. Otherwise, we wouldn't get scenes like this!
Oh, Spike, how could you ever know what it's like to be totally obsessed with a pony, only to find out they're obsessed with some pony else?
You just really wanted to put that in this video, didn't you?
It's funny and you know it. And that's basically it. A lot of them are subcategories of Spike being too young, but to be fair, dating a younger person or somebody that's significantly younger than you comes with many bad tag-alongs, and I think that's fair enough at the very least. Don't get me wrong, if you like this ship, go ship it. I don't care either way. I just don't think that they would work as a long-standing relationship.
Crimson White! There's one aspect that no one has thought of yet.
Oh, what's that?
Mama Twilight. It's not talked about very often, but as far as we know, Twilight was and still is responsible for raising Spike. She's basically his mother, if not older sister. And thus, anyone who deals with Spike will eventually have to deal with the almighty Alicorn Princess in charge of making sure everyone gets along. Look at it however you want, but this is Spike's parental guardian and we all know it.
Huh.
Wait, why didn't we just make this number 4?
Fuck number 4.